get it back to me. All right, I'll count us in. Hey guys, I'm Eric Rogell, host of the Complete Man Summit, and it is my mission to get you the tools, the tips, the tactics you need to be the best man that you can be, to actually step into your own greatness. And today I've got a guest who's going to show you an incredible way to do that for yourself. His name is Tommy Breedlove. Tommy is the best-selling author, Wall Street Journal, USA Today best-selling book, Legendary. And what he's going to do, he's a premier business, relationship, and mindset coach. And Tommy spent 20 years at one of the biggest consulting firms, highly successful there, made it to the top of his field, and then walked away from it all because he wanted to live a better life. And he wanted to teach other men how to live a better life. And that's what he's going to do for you today. He's going to show you all of these strategies that he's got to help you live legendary. So Tommy, thanks for joining us today, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, brother Eric. I feel like you and I are brothers from another mother, man, preaching the same gospel, man. So here I am. Let's get on it. Let's get on it. Let's get in and get on it.
That's it. I love it, man. I love it. Listen, tell us the story. Go to the beginning because I know the story, but I want you to tell the guys listening, about when you were doing the consulting thing and 20 years in that business and then just walked away. I want to hear what that was about.
Yeah, brother. I'll start in the middle. When I had my, we'll call it an aha. The sexy words to say you had a spiritual transformation. Basically for me, it was hitting rock bottom. But I'll start in the middle. And so I grew up in good, solid, blue collar part of the world. No one went to college. Nobody in my family had ever go to college. And so I was the first person in my family to go and graduate from college. And I ended up at some of the largest public accounting and financial consulting firms in the world. I started at Deloitte, which now I think is the largest. And so fast forward about 15 years, coming from pretty humble beginnings, I thought that money, power, prestige, fame, the things, brother, the things that we're taught about and the things that I still like, by the way, I don't minimize them, but I thought they would bring me joy, happiness, and fulfillment. And so when the money, the power, the prestige, the next big paycheck, the title didn't fill me up, I basically became the Wolf of Wall Street and turned to all that other stuff. And so there I am at 36 years old, got the corner office, the fancy cufflinks, the watch, the car, the beautiful girl on my arm. And everybody said, man, that dude's got it. That guy's in, man. He's one of us. Yep. But what they didn't see on the inside is I was falling apart, brother. And I ended up finding myself looking in a ditch, looking up the sky thinking, my God, how did I get here? And probably a week before, man, I was probably doing some multi-million-dollar M&A deal or some financial audit at a big company. Let me tell you why that happened is I grew up in my neighborhood as a young boy in and around a lot of violence. And so I'm gonna kind of make it come full circle. And so the worst thing that happens to a young boy or girl when they grow up inside the home with a lot of violence and abuse and outside and somewhat on the street, wasn't as bad on the street as it was in the house. You become what you hate. You become that violence. And so at 18 years old, I'm looking at going to the University of Georgia. Instead, I commit a violent crime, looking at 7 years in prison, thought my life was over. It was dropped to misdemeanors, but I was sentenced to 2 years, and I spent my 19th birthday incarcerated. And so I literally, a male mentor appeared in my life. He was a 40-year-old African-American gentleman, and that's super important because racial lines aren't crossed very much in those institutions. And for that guy to see something in me, to love me, to mentor me when I didn't have a lot of male mentorship was huge.
Yeah, big.
And so so with his guidance, his love, his support, I dusted myself off, went to community college at night, worked in a nuclear waste container factory during the day for $6 an hour, ended up at the University of Georgia, ended up starting at Deloitte. So I went from a jail cell to Deloitte and Touche in 3 years. And so fast forward to that little story that I told you about being a ditch is because I never really figured out how to love and respect and have confidence on my own. I thought it was all about the money, the power, the cool guy, the tough guy, the important guy, the sexy guy. I can get all the women guys. And when that didn't fulfill me, I turned to everything else, man. And so at 36, brother, I went on this transformation, physical, mental, emotional. I just wanted to build a fortress, figure out who I was, where I was going, who was coming with me. And when I did that, the most amazing things happened. My relationship with my wife became better than it's ever been. My network increased 10x. I stayed at the firm. I went from junior partner to senior partner to international practice leader to a member of the board of directors and owner of a big firm here in the Southeast United States. I'd moved on from Deloitte. And go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I just got a quick question on that, because so you woke up in the ditch, you had this kind of, aha moment, but you stayed at the company. So you didn't just walk away and give it all. You turned your life around, stayed in the company, and then increased your everything from that point. Okay, got it. Oh, I just wanted to clarify, because I thought it was that you were leaving the firm at that point.
Had no intention of leaving the business. Actually loved the business at that point. But I was also living without purpose and fulfillment. I was just, so what happened is I became the guy I was always meant to be. I wasn't that fake guy wearing all that armor and mask, tough guy, cool guy, important guy. I just became Tommy. It's like the Eminem lyric with the real Slim Shady, please stand up. It's like the real Tommy Breedlove, please stand up. And here he was. And I think my partners within the firm saw the leadership in me. My people, I went from most loved, the most hated to one of the most beloved people. And I just shot through my career, my money 10x, my network 10x, my relationship with my wife 10x, but most importantly, my self-esteem, my self-confidence, my self-respect, and that damn voice inside our head that says we're not good enough, shut up for a while. And so I went on this journey. So there I am at the top of the game at 39 years old. And I had accumulated this massive network. And these men, women, entrepreneurs, executives, bankers, lawyers, they all started reaching out and said, look, dude, you haven't given up your ambition. You haven't given up your drive, but you're a hell of a lot more peaceful, happy, and your relationship is good. And they were like, what drug is that, man? I need that. And I was like, it's a lot of work. And that's where I found my calling, my purpose. And so I decided at 39 years old to resign my seat on the board, to sell my equity, and to pursue this life. And because I saw these tools within this book, Legendary, they literally saved my life. And I've seen them from time to relationships to purpose to meaning to life to financial confidence and freedom. I've seen these tools in this book change people, not really change them, but really make them fully realize who they are. And so that was my calling. I called my wife literally on Valentine's Day, and I was making 60% of the family income at that time. It was a pretty big chunk of cash. I was getting ready to walk out the door. I was like, baby, I can't do this anymore. I'm being called to do this. And I swear to you, like God struck me down. She said, go do it. Because she just knew I wasn't fulfilled and I just wasn't into it anymore, even at the top of the game. And so that's where I walked away, man, and pursued this calling of running retreats and coaching one-on-one and writing and speaking to ambitious, driven humans to help them be better.
Yeah. And what I love about that, Tommy, is so many of us, when the money's big, the money's good, all that stuff is working, but in here, you're not feeling it anymore. How many of us hang on way too long, right? And then it just drags out and it starts to do this.
Indeed.
Rather than become greater and greater and more fulfilling. So, for you to walk away at the top, that is some balls right there, right? That takes a ton of fucking courage to do something like that.
Ton of courage, ton of balls. And as my partner, one of my senior partners told me, a lot of stupidity. His email said, you're stupid. That was the title of his email, saying, man, you could be the highest income generator this firm's ever had, which, that means at the end of my, when I retired, I would be an 8-digit guy. And so that was a big deal to walk away. But here's what I knew, man. I knew I was going to become the cancer because I didn't love it. I wasn't fulfilled by it. And I didn't want to do that to the people or my clients. And, at the end of the day, brother, I had become so aware of who I was, where I was going, and who was coming with me. I knew that staying in that business would kill me because I didn't love it. I wasn't fulfilled by it, and it wasn't my calling in life. And I believe we all have callings in life. And I believe if you're driven and ambitious, that if you find your calling, you can make just as much money or even more money by doing the thing you love. And looking back now, 8 years later, that's 100% true, brother. And so I'm super proud. But you know what? I didn't even care how much. I was doing it because I loved to do it. I was called to do it, and I saw it affecting my life and other people's lives. And I made it about something bigger than me, man.
Yeah, and that's the important thing too, because I mean, I know in my life I've made decisions based on money, purely financial, and I've done stuff, and you and I have talked about this before, where I was just miserable but hung on because it was like the golden handcuffs. Couldn't leave. The money was too good, and I didn't want to break away. And it does take that courage. And like you said, 8 years for you to get to where you are now. And that's the other thing too is, so many guys think, well, if I'm going to leave my job and do this, I want it now. I want it to be different now. And it does take a little bit of a journey, sometimes quicker than others, but you've got to make that commitment. You've got to be willing to go through whatever it takes, because in the end, the fulfillment is so much greater.
Totally, brother. And I think there's a two-way street. And so nothing in life comes easy, man. If I told you this wasn't, if the fear and insecurity, it did kick in. And so, and be honest, brother, we all put a lot of credence in what our network and other people think. You know, you walk away at the top of your career, you throw away a lot of money to just walk away and chase a dream. The naysayers, the haters, the people who are in that community, A, they don't understand it. B, they think you've got a drug addiction or what the hell's wrong with you. You know, why the hell would you walk away from this? They don't understand it. And so we do tie a lot of our validation and self-esteem on what other people think. But I had done so much self-work. Honestly, I stopped giving a shit what other people thought and just wanted to go out and be me and be happy and be fulfilled, whatever that took. But to tell you it doesn't take a lot of hard work, think about all the things that make our lives quick and fast. Okay. We can get fucked up on booze. Excuse my French. We can go out and get drunk. Sorry, I didn't mean to just throw the F-bomb there. We can go out and get hammered. But if we do that, we do that over a long period of time, it's going to kill us. We can eat chocolate cake every day. We're going to get fat. It's going to kill us. But think about physical fitness. Think about hard work. Think about building a career, building a company, mentoring somebody else. It all takes time. And here's what I preach too, man, is building that emotional, mental fortress to be a rock solid person during the toughest times. And you and I are talking right now an extremely tough time in society. It has prepared me so I can lean in, lead, step in and step up and not let the fears, the demons, the noise from our media get into this so I can just keep moving forward, brother. And so it's hard work. To say it's not hard work would be a lie.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to change the word hard. I'm going to just say dedicated work, right? You've got to
love it.
You know, the stuff's going to come in. You know that shit's going to hit you. Challenges are going to hit you. But you've got to have that commitment, right? You know, we've talked about the 7 core values. You know, commitment is one of them. The courage, the commitment, the integrity, know it's your duty. And I feel that in you, that it's your duty to help guys do this. So what I want you to do now is, you know, this is all from your book, Legendary. Phenomenal tools, phenomenal strategies. So what I want you to do is kind of, you know, Tommy's going to tell us how we can do the same thing. And you don't have to leave your job, guy. Don't think that what we're saying here is you got to like bail on your career. But what we are going to do is Tommy's going to show you how to live a legendary life in whatever you do. So you give us one of the first things that you usually take guys through when you're showing them how to be legendary.
Absolutely. And I never, unless they truly are miserable in their careers, I never advocate for guys to walk away from what they've been doing their entire lives. And I think the biggest thing, and I'm going to start with why I picked the word legendary. And then I'm going to take you where we always start. Not always, but most of the time start. The reason I picked the word legendary in a world of incredible amounts of self-promotion, especially on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, see me, hear me, love me, I'm important, promote. Guilty as charged is kind of what I do for a living. When you do public speaking and have a public face, you've got to promote. However, the title legendary is something given to us by society, our friends, our communities, and our network. And so what's important about that is you can be an amazing legend or you can be a bad legend. And you don't have to be rich and famous, but legendary is given to us by society, not by ourselves. And so that's why I love the title legendary. And for me, it's about living a life of purpose, significance, and meaning and leaving this world a bit better than you found it. And so that's where it all started and began. And that's why I wrote the book. And then I wrote the book, okay, Tommy, write the book that you needed when you were 36. You were making all this money, but you lacked purpose, meaning, unconditional love, mastering your mindset, and intimate relationships with others. And also, you surrounded yourself with like-minded people who were in the same ditch that you were. So how do we level up all phases of our lives? And usually when people come to me, they're usually ambitious driven. They're usually, they've got some level of success. Not always, you know, I've got all walks of life, but most of the guys that come to me have had a level of success. But they find themselves looking up at the stars or at the ceiling at night or over a beer with a friend, and they're like, man, I just can't figure out what that missing piece is. What am I missing? I've got it all. You know, I'm successful, ambitious, got the wife, the whatever, but I'm missing something. And to me, it begins and ends with purpose. And so usually where we start is that higher meaning. And you can have purpose within your work or outside of your work, but we need, and I think all of us, every single human being in life has a purpose until our last breath. And by the way, our purpose changes depending on the season of our lives. So normally we start at purpose, but I will say this because it's important and we're going through it right now and I'm hearing it more and more. A lot of my guys come to me, they're like, hey, I need someone to lean on and lean into because I'm making these big decisions in my business and with my partners or with my executive team. I need someone to lean on because I can't ask for help because that's a showing weakness at work. I need someone to lean on. You've got 22 years of big business experience. Help me be a better leader and help me to navigate business. That's number two. And here's the one, I'm going to just say it, 100% of the men and women I work with, and I work with mostly men, but I do work with some women, 100% have issues in their relationship with their family or significant other. It's just the cost of being ambitious and driven. It just happens. We all, and even I, there's a reason I have a coach. There's a reason I'm in a mastermind. And there's a reason that my wife and I work hard at this, because being ambitious and being in a loving, caring relationship and not putting it second, we all struggle from it. So I think it's one of three things: someone to lean in and help them with big business decisions, someone to help them find that higher meaning to life. Why am I looking up at the damn stars in my big house and thinking, what the hell am I here for? Or 100% of the time, we don't start with relationships, but 100% of the time we always end there. And so for me, the legendary path is this: it's finding purpose and meaning to life. It's being the master and reconquering your time. I think the word busy is code for I'm letting someone else or something else prioritize my time. So it's about reconquering your time. It's about building your network and surrounding yourself with the best people possible. It's about living with financial confidence and building toward financial freedom. And it's about living with the soft skills, developing that unconditional love and respect for yourself that us alphas, we don't like to talk about, us receiving love. What the hell are you talking about, brother? Yeah, you need to receive love and you need to unconditionally love and respect yourself. Mastering our mindset, getting rid of that demon, and finally building those intimate relationships and knowing you always have a choice. To me, it's a holistic approach to building and living a legendary life. And then when we walk away from this earth, we can't carry the U-Haul with us with all our shit. When we die and we walk away, our families, our friends, our network said, that dude, he was a legend.
Yeah, I love that, Tommy. One thing that you bring up that I really want to hammer home to the guys, because, I have a coach, I have a mentor, I have a network of men. I call them the round table, right? And these are guys that I can go to for anything. And especially like you mentioned, what we're going through right now. I mean, unprecedented global pandemic is happening while we're recording this. And people are feeling this pressure, financial pressure, social pressure all around the world. And a lot of people are stepping up as leaders. And for men, you mentioned it, when you have to lean on somebody else or go to someone else for help, there's that feeling, that sense of being weak. I'm weak. I can't believe I have to go to another guy to help me in this. And that is what I've found, and what you're saying, the absolute wrong thing. Because look, we need each other, right? And it's not weakness to go to another man and say, hey, brother, I'm having a problem with this. And I know you're an expert in it. I need your help. And so, that's why we're doing this. That's why we have you on. And so I want to make sure that guys understand this, that it is not weakness to go to someone for help. It's actually the most courageous, strong thing that you can do, right?
I want to add to that too, man. And if I'm gonna be honest, if someone in you called it your board, and I call it my inner circle.
Yeah.
If you go to somebody for help and you show honesty and vulnerability, and they're jackasses or they're not nice about it, they don't need to be in your network anyway. But 99% of your friends, of your network, of your board, and what I call my inner circle, they're probably experienced some sort of fear, insecurity, or challenge in their life. And when we have the balls to step up and lean in and be honest, what we do, gentlemen, is we give the gift of going second. When we step up and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, it gives them the vulnerability and the right to say, you know what, brother, here's when I experienced that, what I did, and let me tell you what I'm struggling with. And to me, you said it best. I think the great men and women leaders of this world, they have coaches. They're in masterminds. They have mentors. But more importantly, they surround themselves with what I call our inner circles of friends, of colleagues, of people who level us up, people who will kick us in the face when we have an integrity breach or we're not doing what we need to be doing, but people who love us and support us, don't judge us, and help us move the ball forward. And courage is about asking for help. If you don't ask for help, you're going to die on that white horse, or you're going to make some major mistakes. And making mistakes is okay, but it's good to have people in your inner circle to help you through that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And when you said, have the guy that, when you're out of integrity, be able to kick you in the teeth, man. If I, you know, I've said this many, many times before. Sometimes an asshole just needs to be told they're an asshole. It's the only way to save them, right? It's the only way to save them. And listen, I went through this just last night. You know, one of my coach and mentor had to kick my ass so hard last night because I was throwing a bunch of bullshit around, and I was pissed off for like a half hour. Fuck this guy. Fuck. And then when I sat back and looked at it, I was like, God damn, I love this man. Thank God he said that, because I'd have been down the wrong path for weeks before I was able to turn it around. So guys, do that. Surround yourself with men who will tell you when you're being an asshole, and have the courage to kick you in the balls when you need it. So
absolutely. They'll kick you in the balls, they'll point it out, and then guess what they'll do? They'll pick you back up, stand next to you, and say, let's keep moving, brother.
That's it. And then they got the strong arms that come around right after you. You need that. It's got to follow. Always has to follow with that. And yeah, absolutely my experience. Tommy, I want to bring something up, because you and I talked about this. You were kind of giving me a little bit of a briefing on everything. You and I have had a bunch of conversation. You talked about telling people how to work in their zone of brilliance. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just genius. So tell me about that.
Yeah, and I think it's so critically important right now, especially there's a reason we all have these God-given talents. They're not just God-given talents. And if you don't know what they are, go ask somebody. Go ask what we talked about, your board of directors, your friends, your network, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. They know what your God-given talents are. So you're really good at something. And there's also something that you're really good at that you truly enjoy doing. And so when you're in your profession, what I call your zone of brilliance, it's when you're using your God-given talents and the things that you enjoy. And that's where your best craftsman and pro come to play. And so I've even struggled with it in my business. As we're building these communities, as we're building these empires and these businesses, there's a reason we started it. My gift is to get the best out of the men and women that come into my life. That's my gift. It's my calling. I love it. Time stops. I'm good at it. But guess what I start doing as the business starts growing? I start jumping into administration. I start jumping into business development sales. I'm screwing around with the technology people. That's not my zone of brilliance. It's theirs. I need to stay in my lane. And if we as great leaders, business people, or aspiring leaders and business people figure out what our zone of genius is and start with 30 minutes a day and only spending time there. But for me, I've worked it up to 4 or 5 hours a day, whether it's speaking, being on summits, podcasts, coaching, running retreats. If I'm in that 4 or 5 hours a day and spend 3 hours doing the rest, or helping guide with the rest, or learning from my team on the rest, your businesses, your life, and your happiness will 100x, because you're doing something you enjoy. You're doing something you're good at. The world needs it. And by the way, when you step out and start doing those other things, A, you're probably not very good at it. And B, you're probably getting in someone else's way. And so for me, the zone of genius is critical to happiness, success, and ultimately building the company or person you want to be.
Yeah, you know, it's, when you say that, for me, it's almost like killing off the inner control freak.
Oh, totally.
Right? Because I have that, right? I have that. I have to do everything. Nobody can do it better than I can. I don't care what it is. I have to get my ass involved in it. And it takes a lot to step away from that and allow and have the confidence in the people that you put around you to do this stuff like this, so that you can spend that time on your zone of brilliance. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Totally, brother. And so you're talking to a recovering control freak and a recovering perfectionist. And I'm not sure how recovered I am, honestly, because I still struggle with it. But here's the truth, brother. We're never going to be perfect, and perfection gets in the way of done and finished. And the second thing is, honestly, brother, we're in control of nothing. We can influence, we can inspire, we can lead, we can manage, and we can delegate and get the hell out of the way. But the truth is, the only thing we're in control of, mindset, attitude, choices. Mindset, attitude, choices. Nothing more, nothing less. And if you're not growing or as happy as you need to be in your business or life, go find the nearest mirror. That is the problem. And it's probably because you're struggling with either insecurities or fears, or control problems, or perfectionism problems. And once I got the hell out of the way and let my gifted, talented teammates, at the top of the list is Lindsay, who runs my entire practice. She's the chief operating officer of the entire practice. When I get the hell out of her way, my practice goes 10x forward. When I get in her way, it's like we go 10x backwards. And so we've got to let go of the control. We've got to let go of the perfectionism. And by the way, when it comes to joy and fulfillment in your craft and actually being a pro, when you're in your zone of brilliance, that's where you're a pro, because you're good at it and you love it. And so it's not easy to do. You got to take baby steps. We got us control freaks, and I'm pointing at one. Us perfectionists, you're not alone. I got to get out of my way, and it's baby steps. It's baby steps.
Yeah. And, that leads into time, right? We talked about time, too, as being one of these other things about becoming legendary. And so talk a little bit about that time and really taking command of your time.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things in life is I think it's a dirty, nasty, filthy, disgusting 4-letter word. And it's the word busy. I'm busy. You ain't busy, brother. You're just out of control of your time. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and the great business leaders and LeBron James, they got the same 24 hours we have in a day, right? They do. They just use it a whole hell of a lot better. And so for me, there's a lot of techniques and tools, and I'm going to give you 2 right here. And I have to be held accountable to my time. I have this person, Patty, on my team who just beats me to death if I start getting away from what I've committed to do. And then Lindsay on the other side is like, wait, this is not your zone of brilliance. So they call me on my own bullshit now, right? So it's important to have those accountability partners within your practice to help you grow as a leader, as a person. But the first one that was taught to me, it was about 4 years ago. I was at this conference in Italy, and someone came up with this, and I can't figure out who it is. But one way to control our time, and this is especially around the people we spend time with, if those people are not a hell yes or an F yes, they're a no. And immediately, whether it's dinner, lunch, a coffee meeting, a client, a vendor, a family member, if it's not an instant in your gut, yes, it's a no. And you would be shocked. It's not, again, you got to baby step implement this. But when it comes to spending time with humans, which is a time suck, if you don't truly want to do it and you're not all in, whether it's business or life, if you implement that in your life, you will start, if you even 50%, you will start feeling more happy, fulfilled, and moving the ball forward, both personally and professionally. Second thing is it's critical is you've got to use time blocking. And no email, no social media, no TV, no phone, no voicemail start at 30 minutes a day and work in your zone of brilliance. Take it to an hour a day, work in your zone of brilliance, but no distractions. You can take breaks, but no distractions. No phone, no email, no social media, no voicemail. Because think about it, we're getting hit all the time. since we've been on this phone, I've probably got, 16 texts. Seriously. And so you've got to have someone hold accountable to it. This is non-negotiable me time. So I have it in 2 ways. In the morning, I get up and I have my morning routine. I believe you have to invest in yourself first before you can serve others fully. And so from my morning meditations to my gratitude, to my exercise, to walking my dogs, to my daily readings, that is uncompromisable to me. No one screws with that time. And if it screws with the time, it's my choice. There's certain exceptions, but 8 out of 9 out of 10 days, I don't compromise that time, period. Because I've got to invest in me first to be as strong as I can for others. But when it comes to working in my zone of brilliance, I have people on my team that will not let me take a meeting, take that phone call, that potential client, people who are calling and needing help and want to work with me. If I get out of it, then I'm out of it. And so time blocking, and if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And we are the masters of our time. We have as much time as anyone else, and every single moment of every single day is a choice. If you can remember those 3, that ridiculously stupid word busy will leave your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of using busy way too much, and I could feel that tension coming in me when you said, the time blocking. Don't look at your email, don't look at your text, and all I could think of was, but hey, I'm really important, and if they can't get me for an hour, shit's not going to happen. So that's something that I'm looking at as you're saying that I've got to drop in myself, right? They can do without you, Eric, for an hour. You'll be fine. Work in your zone of brilliance, get your shit done, and don't worry about having to answer some stupid email or text while you're in the middle of that.
I got to give you a ninja trick, man. That is so true. Here's the truth. That's a boundary issue. And brother, I'm talking in the mirror right now. It's a boundary issue. We teach people how to treat us. And here's the problem. When you work with alpha women and men like I do, they believe their time and their clients and their family are the most important people on the entire earth, and that you're subservient to them. And so part of my practice and part of my teachings, and they don't know it, I'm giving away some of my secrets right now. They don't even know it's happening. Everything they do is a freaking emergency. Everything. Oh, I need you to call me now. And 99 out of 100 times it's some bullshit client thing or some bullshit business thing that if they just sit on it and breathe for a minute, it's not an emergency. Oh, my client's about to leave. No, they're not. If they've left, anyway. So there's a part of my boundaries from canceling meetings to setting up meetings to time blocking to also responding. Now, if it's a true emergency, if they've got something really truly happen, I will call them. But we teach people how to treat us. And we can't be responsive. People don't respect us if we're just their whipping boy. And I'm going to say this loosely, and I hope people can read between the lines, or we get on our knees every time they need us. That is not teaching people. You're not showing self-respect and self-confidence. And by the way, every client is equally as important as another client. Every human is as equally important as another human. And our time is just as important as their time and vice versa. And once you teach them that, they respect you.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. And I can see, you know, and I know men that I've worked with before who had that mindset, and they, you know, look and they go, no, he'll wait. And I thought, wow, that is the ultimate, you know, sign of you have respect for yourself, your own personal, is because it's, look, this is more important right now. What I'm doing in this moment is more important. That's just going to be a distraction. They can wait. So really appreciate you saying that. Now, I want to get into something else too, because we talked about, you know, the pandemic we're in right now and what's going on around the world. And a lot of people's businesses are failing, and people can't cover their rent, their mortgage, their credit card bills, their utilities. And so this financial burden, this stress financially that's hitting a lot of people right now is so important. And you talk in your book about how you can truly obtain financial freedom. So give us an idea of what that's about.
Yeah, I was blessed that I, A, went to school for accounting and got a business degree, and B, was classically trained from some of the best financial consultants, accountants, and people in the world for about 20 years. So I'm very blessed on that front. And what I want to do is simplify those tools. So there's two things to money: financial confidence and financial freedom. It's first of all, building your money mindset, and to think that money is out there and we'll never get it. And here's what the truth is people who say, well, they're lucky, or them, and look at themselves as a victim. That means you don't believe you're good enough or valuable enough for money. And so we got to overcome that bullshit. And so there's this mindset and heart set. And I grew up humbly. My dad was one of those guys that, we work so that we can have a 2-week vacation every year. I'm like, screw that, man. I work because I make impact, and I want to make a lot of money to make more impact. I had to rewire my brain and heart for that. And there's tools and systems. One is the simplest way to do it is hang around with financially confident people. They don't have to be rich. They just got to plan on being rich. You know what I'm saying? And anyone that says that money's not important, run from their ass because they're broke. And so first of all, surround yourself with financially confident people. Start rewiring your mindset. There's tools and systems and affirmations and books that you can rewire your heart and mind to believe that you are worthy and enough, and money will come to you. And I know that sounds woo-woo, but it is legit, brother. Takes one to know one. I was on the other side of the street. But then, most importantly, and this is the time, we're in a pandemic, and it can start with basic arithmetic. 1 + 1 = 2. Now is the time to build simple tools in your life, from credit card management to debt management to learning how to do a budget. Simple tools that you can deploy in your life right now, that when this damn thing ends, and it will end, that you're a little more confident, B, got a little more tools. And once you start that journey, by the way, once you start with arithmetic, then you want a little multiplication, and then you want a little division, and then you're craving the algebra and the calculus. And what I mean by that is you start with basic budgeting and financial skills. We've done a piss poor job around the world of teaching people money and all things money. So start with blocking and tackling. One of the best books I've ever read for blocking and tackling when it comes to money is Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Whether you like him or not, the message is solid, and it gives you the basics of how to manage your life basically in this Western world. And so once you start loving that type of stuff, then all of a sudden you want to learn about savings and investing and 401ks and building a legacy. And so you can be free when these tough ass times hit, that you've done the appropriate planning, both in your business and life, even if you work for somebody, that you can weather these storms for 6 and 12 months at a time. Even if you can't weather it right now, There are things coming. There's stimulus coming. There's all these things that are going to, there's going to be rent forgiveness and it's going to come back. You will be okay. And when you get, but now is the time to build your money mindset, your money muscles, but also your money tools. And if you don't do that, that's on you. And so that's why I devoted, I wasn't even going to put it in there. And they're like, dude, you've got a 22-year financial consulting career. You've got to put money in there because it's intimate, it's scary, it's important to us as our sex and our health. It's money, sex, and health, the three probably most important things to us in life. And so I had to include it in there. I give basic money mindset stuff, how to network, but also probably 8 or 10 pages of simple things you can apply to your life to be better money-wise than you were yesterday. And so it's super important to me. Money is very, very important. It's very intimate.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I'd love to hear just give us a couple of these kind of tips you have on the money that are in the book that would really help guys out. Because I know that like right now, and I love what you say about do it now, because I see around me the panic that goes on. Oh my God, my business is closed. My office is closed. I don't have money coming in. And it's panic time, where if you really look at it from a position of power, it's opportunity time.
Absolutely.
All right, great. I'm home. I'm doing this. Let me sit down and do what Tommy said, and let me put my shit together and really take a look at what I'm doing so that I can be financially free the next time this happens. Because, hey, look, it happened now. It could very much happen again. So now is that opportunity to really sit down and do this. So give us a couple of those tips.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the basics because each person is different. And so if you're more advanced than this, that's okay. But what I've discovered is most Americans aren't. And what's amazing to me, it doesn't matter whether you make $10 an hour or $10 million a year. A lot of us spend a hell of a lot more than we make, which is insane because we're chasing the Joneses, right? We're chasing the Smiths. We want to look good and show people that we're important. Well, you're going to be broke and important. And so for me, the first thing is you got to, and I'm going to be speaking basics here because companies are different and people are different. For me, basics, it begins and ends with discovering how much money you've got coming in and how much you got going out the door. And there's stuff that you must have: rent, food, utilities, health insurance, how to live life. If I don't have these, things go wrong quick. And there's this whole other category of nice to haves. Fancy shirt, cool Mercedes into the driveway, big house, fancy meals. Well, if you're not financially confident, first of all, you've got to pull back now. You've got to get yourself in the plus. Your inflows, what's coming in the door, have to exceed your outflows. A. B, we got to look at our discretionary spending. And if right now your inflows don't cover your outflows, it might be time to get a second job. It might be time to change about going back to school. There's things that we can do to get our inflows to beat our outflows. And there's compromises in the short term that we can make for long-term success. So once you've got your budget in order and more's coming in and out the door, then you start knocking off credit card debt. And I don't want to go too deep dig into that, but credit card debt is death. You are paying somewhere between 12 and 22% higher than every other human being on earth, every purchase you make. And not only that, it compounds, which means you're on the negative side of making money. I don't want to get too deep into that. So once you get your budget in order, then you pay off your credit cards. Then we start doing some basic savings and investing. Get savings in your account for about 6 months of your living, and then use every bit of money you've got afterwards to invest, because it's going to go up and down. But that's the true way to build freedom over the future. That is as simplistic as it gets. There's a whole lot more to that. That's the basic though. That's the truth. If you're in that situation, that will get you out of it. However, once you get to zero and it's time to invest, that's the time to learn algebra and geometry, hire someone to help you, but also learn as much as you can. And if your financial advisor talks over you or your banker talks over you, fire them. Their job is for you to understand it. And so I'm passionate about money. We just did some very simplistic things. I could talk about it for 10 years. But that's the basics that I would deploy.
Yeah, and what I love, when you talk about income, inflow, outflow, and what you're spending on, I think what I've noticed for a lot of people right now in the time we're in right now during this pandemic is people have really taken a hard look at what do I really need? What's really essential, right? What am I doing without? And I think it makes it, we talk about opportunity time, it makes it real easy right now to look at what are the must-haves versus the nice-to-haves and kind of get that budget set now so that when this thing ends, you're ready to just kind of take off, right?
So true. And now's the time to start building some basics, getting your house in order, especially your financial house. If you want to feel less stress, get your financial house in order. Even if it looks bleak as hell right now, start doing something. And here's the most important, and here's what I realized, and it took me a lot of heartache and spending money where I didn't need to be spending money, and when I was making just ridiculous amounts of money, is what you realize during times like this, whether it's war, pandemic, natural disasters, or even death in family members, is the most important things in life aren't things at all. They're experiences, they're events, and they're people. And so we might be limited in our house, but we can have experiences, we can have events, and we can still be around people. And cut the bullshit. Nobody cares whether you drive a BMW, a Mercedes, a Chevy, or a go-kart. No one cares. You can't take any of it with you. And when you die, no one's going to read your resume. Again, I think money's super important because I want people to experience life. I want them to be free. I don't want them to be stressed. And candidly, if you're an impactful person, I want you to make as much impact as here's the thing. Money's a magnifying glass. If you're a super big asshole, it's going to make you a super big asshole. If you're a really impactful, loving, compassionate person that wants to serve society and your business and others, it'll 10x that too. So it's a magnifying glass. But then ultimately, I see it. It's hard to explain with people that are struggling with money, but I get to see it each and every day on my Zoom calls and my group coaching and my retreats and my one-on-one. More money, more problems, and it will not buy you happiness. It will give you certain luxuries and freedoms, but it will not give you happiness. That comes from within, and that's building these mental and emotional muscles I keep talking about. And it takes time. It takes patience. You can't go to the gym and be fit overnight. Same thing goes with your mental and emotional muscles. You can't get those fit overnight, but you've got to step in and exercise them every day. And that's what makes you happy and fulfilled in life, my brother.
Yeah, man, I agree 100%. And I want to take this from the financial that we're talking about because that's part of it. And I know you work with a lot of these guys who are alphas. They're very, very successful. And what I want to get into is, because I think it lends in now, is we've gone through, living with your purpose, your zone of brilliance, your passion, whatever you're passionate about, changing that mindset on money and becoming comfortable with having money, knowing what's important, the experiences. I cannot stress enough what you just said. I cannot agree with you enough that there is no comparison between an amazing experience with people you love versus material stuff. Mm. And so saying that, let's get into the intimate relationship part of what you're talking about. Because that you said at the beginning, that is a big part of what you work with these men on is now that they're successful and have this money and you've gotten their time kind of managed, now we got to work on that intimate relationship.
So first of all, anyone who's dated anyone, man or women, know how difficult relationships are. First, you got two human beings with two totally different desires, with our idiosyncrasies, with our desires, wants, fears, and insecurities. One human being is tough enough to manage. The biggest tough challenge in leadership is leading us. Same thing goes with relationships, right? Is looking in the mirror, not to beat ourselves up, but to be accountable to our integrity, our systems. And here's the tough part. I'm just going to throw it out there because no one talks about this stuff, man. When we first get into a relationship, we're carnal, men and women. We're like rabbits. It doesn't matter what the other person, as long as you're attracted to them and you're having sex, it's all good. But that wears off because, love, intimacy, romance, communication, transparency, trust, those are muscles we've got to build. And what's interesting for men and women who are ambitious and driven and who we want to build, we want to succeed, we want, we're just driven. We don't mean to. Two things happen, and I see it time and time again, and this is 100%, is we say our family, we're doing this for our family. No, you're doing it for you. If you were doing it for your family, you would, I don't believe in work-life balance. I think it's bullshit. I think you balance and rebalance depending on the priorities in your life at the time. But you don't want to be so balanced and so driven. I'm talking in the mirror right now. I'm talking to me. You don't want to be so driven that the things that you care most about, your family, your friends, your dogs, your significant other, that you put them so far down the list that they don't feel loved, appreciated, and respected. Because you look at the statistics, man, 50 to 60% of people are getting divorced. And that's because it takes work. It takes effort. It takes communication. It takes vulnerability. It takes effort. And, you know, it's easier to quit now than not quit. And that's what makes the ambitious, man, and the successful is not fucking quitting. I'm passionate about this because I have to deal with it every single day of my life with these men and women. And so it's just ridiculously important for us to do the work, to lean in, to be vulnerable, to sometimes prioritize and reprioritize. And here's the second thing I see is we put them second. This is truth, and I'm about to hit people at home. It's the weirdest thing. We are a different human being in front of our clients, our network, and our friends than we are behind closed doors. That's where the real Tommy and people stand up, you know. And why are we? Because it's comfortable. Because this is our comfort zone. And so we become different people at home than we are. If we were that way in front of our customers or friends or clients, they'd fire our ass in a heartbeat. So why are we going home? And that's where our demons and insecurities and fears and anger come out. And so that's what we work on, because we all struggle from it. And to say you don't struggle from it, you're full of shit. Because this is not anecdotal anymore. This is statistics. I've worked with hundreds of people in group and single settings, and it's all of us, including this guy on the phone. Like the other day, you know, I'm working, kicking ass. My wife comes in and I don't even look at her. This is supposedly the most important person in my life. I don't even acknowledge her. And she's standing there waiting for just not to be acknowledged, to maybe being hugged and say hello and how'd your day go. I didn't do any of that. That's just honest. But I caught myself, walked upstairs, apologized, said I was in the zone. You're better than that. You deserve better than that. Work, vulnerability, honesty, communication. And so I'm a big fan that anything and everything can be repaired. I love the hero's journey. But brother, it's not, you know, we all start with power, better leader, more money, more confidence. 100% of the time it ends in relationships. And that's just me being very honest.
Yeah, man, I can feel that too. But I want to ask you, you know, because I know, and again, I really appreciate when you said you think work-life balance is bullshit. It should just all be part of life. And I get that and I appreciate that. And what I want to know is, you know, because we're talking about how to be better in business, how to be better financially, how to be more successful. And I think many of us don't look at our intimate relationships as having an impact on our business relationship, right? So what I'm feeling is if you've got it in both, if you can master both of these, how does your, you know, when you really 10x your intimate relationship, how does that impact your business?
Oh, I'm going to say it this way. And you are 1,000% correct. And it's not just our relationships in our business. I'm going to take it a step further, but you're spot on. We're life, professional, us as human beings, our emotional, mental, relationship, business, financial, health, all of it. It's one stew. And to make a great stew, if you take the salt out of it, it won't be as great. If you take the meat and potatoes out of it, you're going to have a really shitty stew, depending on what you like, right? I'm using that analogy because life is one big stew. And you can't not include the ingredients, because what that's going to impact is your stress, your peace of mind, your ability to make good decisions. If you're not investing in your relationship, if you're not investing into your mental fortitude, your emotional fortress, if you're not investing in your financial fortress or your business career, if you're leaving one of those out, stress, overwhelmingness, unfulfillment, anger, all of that calls to really shit decision-making. And I'm being very blunt right now. And so the more you invest into each one of those components, and I'm a big fan about balancing and rebalancing depending on the needs of the time. Don't wait till it's too late to notice your kid to when they leave out the door and you don't even know who they are, or your spouse leaves you. Don't wait that long. Invest in it. But your partner needs to be your chair of the board and your inner circle and board of directors. They need to be walking the walk with you, and that goes vice versa. And so you have to listen to them. You have to be open with them. You have to communicate. But to me, it's one big stew, and we have to invest in all of it to be as successful as possible. And here's the key. Life's about happiness, man. It's about happiness, joy, and love. And to be happiness and joyful, we need to be successful in all phases of our life as much as we can. We're never going to master this thing. We're never going to get there. The folks that have gotten there, they built great religions on them. That ain't us. Sorry. Maybe it's one of us. I don't know. But certainly we're going to do the best we can with every minute of every day we've got, and just be as happy and successful as possible. That's the truth.
Yeah, and I love that. I want to kind of reiterate what you just said, because you've been talking about mindset this whole time, and I'm a big fan of mindset, and it's what I work on a lot. And what just kind of triggered for me, and what I kind of had a little aha while you were talking, was when you said about the relationships being such a part of the business and having your partner be a part of it. And I'm thinking, I look at business and it's like, who are my employees? What is my marketing? What is the product I'm putting out? What is my supply chain? How am I getting things out there? And I don't think about the relationship being an integral part of that. And I think if you change the mindset and go, part of my business has to be, my relationship has to be as solid as my marketing, as my product, as my employees, as my team, as all of these things that my technology, all of it. When you insert that intimate relationship as a mindset into your business, I can see where now there is no more work-life balance. It's all one big, brilliant stew, as you said.
Totally, brother. And I've got to say this for the men listening, and I think this is going to be all men. Intimacy doesn't always equal sex. That's what we think of. Hey, I'm going to be honest. Hey, Tommy, I'm not going to screw myself. Come on, Heather. Where are you, girl? Where are you? No, that to me is super important. I think for a lot of guys, it's super important. But it's also about communication. It's also about vulnerability. It's also about serving their needs and being selfless on a lot of occasions and not being selfish. And we don't mean to do it. It's unconscious, but we can become selfish very quick. But to develop intimacy, and I'm not talking sex is a part of it. I'm talking about romance and love and vulnerability and communication and openness. And by the way, all of that leads to trust. And there is nothing better to having a partner in life who trusts you unconditionally. And you're talking to a guy who spent 36 years trying to destroy everything around him. Trust, integrity, the feeling that you get inside by being a man of integrity and building trust within your family members, your significant others, your teammates, your network, there's nothing more powerful in life. And that's how you become legendary.
Yeah, I love that, Tommy. I appreciate that. We're going to wrap this here, but I'm going to do a quick recap of living legendary. I want to make sure I got it. Zone of brilliance, right? Make sure you're living in your zone of brilliance. Look what your zone of brilliance is. Living with meaning and balance, the time, and get rid of the fucking word busy and start really living your time. Do whatever you can to be financially free, right? Sovereign when it comes to financial. You want to be able to be in control, in command of all your finances at all times. So stuff like this, if it happens again, what we're living through in the pandemic, doesn't take your ass down. And then really connecting that intimate relationship, plugging that into your business, plugging that in, making it an important part of your life, and the overall mindset around all of this, right? Did that kind of sum it up?
That's a great summary. The only things I would add, and because we also got to invest in ourselves, and we're going to talk about participating in our own rescues. One way to do that is discovering your why you're here, your purpose. And the second big things there is cultivating that unconditional love and self-respect and self-confidence for yourself so that you can respect, love, and be confident the other. And mastering that mindset, which is really all of it. And so that's the only thing I would add to that. But well done, brother.
I was paying attention, Tommy.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Let's talk about purpose for like a quick second before we wrap, because you said, living your purpose. And look, I'm in my early 50s, and I just found my purpose a few years ago. I thought I knew my purpose, but I was bullshitting myself because I was chasing money rather than my real purpose. And I was trying to talk myself into, well, Eric, this is your purpose because you're making a lot of money at it. So this must be your purpose. But I was miserable. So when you're talking to guys about living their purpose so that they can become legendary, what is it you go over with them?
So it's an art and a science, and it's something that's usually done better together. And before we get off, we can't forget to talk about participating in your own rescue, because it's a really quick, cool thing. That's going to be awesome. But here's your purpose. So you and I both, and that we're not bragging because it ended up not being the greatest thing. You and I both in our former lives made a lot of money, but we found ourselves unfulfilled, unhappy, probably living outside of we probably compromised our integrity and decisions every now and then to make even more money. And we're probably a little fear to leave, right? And so when we look up at the sky or the ceiling, or we find ourselves having a beer at night, we're looking like, why am I not happy? But I'm making a lot of money. That's because you lack purpose. And so I'm going to take it. There's an element of zone of brilliance in it. And this could be a 4-episode show on, because finding your purpose is an art and science. And it's a beautiful thing. So remember that zone of brilliance we talked about. Zone of brilliance can be done in your work and life. The same thing with purpose is you want them to be both be operating. So again, it starts back with your zone of brilliance. There's something that you have these God-given talents and you enjoy doing it. Now, here's the third thing is you take, and it could be in your job or outside of your job. You take your God-given talents and the things that you enjoy, and whatever this means to you, you go make this world just a little bit better place. That's what your purpose is. And it changes depending on your season of life. I mean, it does change. It's not always going to be the same, or it could be the same. There's no right or wrong here. But you use your God-given talents and what you truly enjoy, and you make this world, your community, yourself, and others, or this beautiful planet just a little bit better than it was yesterday. That's your purpose.
Love that, man. That is awesome, awesome advice. And now we're going to get to this story because I love this story, and it kind of summarizes everything you talked about so incredibly, and it is the participating in your own rescue. So go ahead, Tommy. Tell us that one. I love it.
So, yeah, when I heard that, it punched me in the face because in life, there's no magic pill and no one's coming to save us. And we must choose to participate in our own rescue. And I'll tell you where I learned it. So I used to be this wild man when it came to whitewater rafting, and there wasn't a river big enough, mean enough, or tough enough for me to not go down and challenge. And so that was back when I was crazy. But this river rafting guy, we were getting ready to go down the Golly in West Virginia, and that's got to be one of the top 5 most difficult rivers in the world. 5+ rapids, 5+ rated rapids. And that's river speak for dangerous as hell. If you fall out of the boat, there is significant risk of not getting back in it and dying. And so I remember the guy said, "Hey, gentlemen, you've got to participate in your own rescue." And what he meant, if you fall ass out of that boat, you got to turn over. You got to look up. You got to look for safety, look for the rope. And if all else, you got to get yourself out of that situation. You have to participate because there's a high likelihood we can't get you because there's too much water and too much movement. And when he said that, I was like, holy shit. That is the great, it's a river rafting guy. And the wisdom comes in the rarest form sometimes. You're like, man, that is such an analogy for life. And I think we all must, if we're not happy, we're unfulfilled, we're not where we want to be in our life, love, relationships, and business. The only thing we got to do is look in the mirror, invest in ourselves, participate in our own rescue. And I will say this too, regardless of the mistakes you've made, where you are in life, or the wounds you carry, things that have been done to you or you've done to others, we all have our wounds and stories and mistakes and fuck ups. Regardless of how old you are and where you are, it's never too late to stop living that story you tell yourself, that thing inside that I am this way because of these mistakes or things that were done to me. Horseshit. That's the story. It's time to start living your life, participating in your rescue, and writing the end to your story. And I just wanted to say that as well.
Oh, that's brilliant, Tommy. I really, really appreciate that. So, and I appreciate you coming on and, kind of giving us all this great insight. And now you've got, from the book Legendary, you're going to give the guys that are listening a chance to get a couple of chapters from the book, right? We're going to put that down below. There's going to be a button, guys, and you're going to hit that and you're going to get a couple. Tommy, tell them what you're giving them.
Yeah. So again, here's the book. It's USA Today, Wall Street bestseller, Legendary. It's all the things we talked about in life. And it's simple. It's a simple, quick read. But right now, I think during these challenging times with pandemic, I think it's time to serve. And so we're giving away the financial freedom and financial confidence chapters. It's everything we talked about, from mindset to network to these tools that you can build. And the second chapter we're going to give away is mastering our mindsets to help us with those fears, cut out the noise, those insecurities, and all this unknowns that are coming in the world. So if you press that button, you'll get the 2 free chapters, and we're going to throw in something else too. You'll also get my purpose exercise, which helps you. I give you my purpose and the formula to find it. So hopefully you'll go find your own too. And so those are what it will give to you. And I'm just super thankful and super humbled. And here's to all of us building and living a legendary life, Eric.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I really, really appreciate that. Tommy, how can they find you? Like, what do you have coming up? I know you're doing a lot of podcasts and you're speaking a lot, but your website, where can these guys find you if they want to get a hold of you, they want to see you speak or listen to you? Give us a little bit of that.
So I was going to be on tour for a long time. I had all these keynotes and was members of retreat, running my own retreats. That clearly is not happening these days. And so right now you can find me on just about every podcast on the planet, which has been just fun, or Summit. But what's really cool is Follow me on social media, Instagram at Tommy Breedlove, Facebook, you can find me at Legendary Life, or on LinkedIn. I put all of my writings, videos, all out there for free. It's a good way to follow me. It's a good way to if you enjoy this message or you dig what I'm putting out to the world, that's one way to find me. My website is TommyBreedlove.com. Would love to hear from you. Also, email me directly at info@TommyBreedlove.com. You can tell me I'm full of shit, or that you love it, or for me, man, I have to surround myself with people that make me better. I have a coach. I have mentors. I'm in a mastermind that I all pay to be in. It's just be a little bit better than I was yesterday. I hope you'll invest in yourself. Reach out to me. Follow me on social. You can buy the book if you're just ready to buy the book. It's everywhere. It's Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's all over the place. And so Legendary is the name of the book. You can follow me at TommyBreedlove.com or at Instagram at TommyBreedlove. And I look forward to staying in touch with all of you.
Beautiful, Tommy, man. I really, really appreciate you coming on today and giving us the time. Guys, appreciate you watching and listening to Tommy and I talk. And make sure you get the stuff he's giving away. It's incredibly, incredibly valuable. You're going to get a lot out of it. And again, appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next session.
Thank you, Eric. Be well.
Boom.
Nice.